What we do here is go back.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to episode 68 of the Lost Media podcast. Today we're talking about 5 kids' cartoons that were banned due to their similarities to 9/11. Now, everyone knows 9/11 was a terrorist attack that happened on New York City on September 11, 2001, and unfortunately there was a lot of media that coincided with this attack that was very similar in an eerie way to this attack. Some of these examples are very, very similar to what happened that were meant to air only a few days after 9/11, and others are kind of similar, but not really. The first one I'm going to talk about today is the Pokemon episode Tentacool and Tentagruel. I feel like I'm Rick Harrison in the Pawn Stars episode when he's trying to say Pokemon. He goes, Pokemans? Pokemon? That's what I felt like I was just then. That is not a good feeling to have. This episode of Pokemon featured a Pokemon that was destroying a city, the Tentacruels and the Tentagruels. I actually don't know why it was called Tentacool and Tentagruel, considering it looks to me from watching this clip that it is just one creature. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe there were several, that it were different variations of the same thing, sort of. The general gist of this episode is it's destroying buildings. When 9/11 comes along, we got to pull this episode from airing. This creature is destroying buildings and it looks really similar to the ruins of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. We can't have this up on television. This is not going to work. So they canned that. But then another event happens in 2005, the Hurricane Katrina natural disaster, and there's another scene in this kid show, can you believe the coincidence, where all the buildings are underwater and the town is completely submerged, and then they're like, okay, we've got to pull it again, guys. So would you believe it, guys, twice this is pulled from television. Really crazy. I'm laughing because it's just like, how has this happened twice? Like, how does this coincidence happen, let alone once, but twice? Very unlucky for the people who made this Pokemon episode. But it's not the most interesting. The most interesting is yet to come. There are some really cool ones on this list. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Transformers, The Secret of the Ruins. Now, this was a television show that was an American dub of a Japanese-made Transformers Robots in Disguise series that didn't air for very long in the United States. Every time I try and say the United States following a really long sentence, I go, in the United States. This episode features the Transformers, the bad Transformers, picking up cars and people fleeing cars in terror, and they're kind of just destroying the city, actually. They are destroying the city. There's another Transformers episode that has similar stuff, but I think The Secrets of the Ruins is the most significant due to its close airing to 9/11. It was meant to air right after the September 11 terrorist attacks, but it was canned for obvious reasons. But it was more just the fact that it even closely resembled what happened. That was the reason why they were like, nah, too similar. You know, you got robots in the city, they're destroying the city, they're fighting, and they're also terrorizing people, and they're running out of their cars and in terror. General gist, yeah, and they're picking up people's cars and destroying them. That was all it took, guys. That was it. That was all it took for this episode to get canned. There's not really much more to that one, but there's another one that I found really fascinating. Power Rangers Rancic Lives. This is another very short-lived show. Again, these shows that aired around 9/11 really didn't have the best luck. You could almost confirm it when your show has some eerily similarities to 9/11, unintentionally, and it was made well before this event took place, that your show wasn't going to last very long, and that's a lot of these shows on this list. But what happened here with the Power Rangers episode Rancic Lives was there was a terrorist plot from the villain of the show who sends a message to the Power Rangers, a video message, and he sounds a lot like a terrorist. and he sends video of him destroying buildings and buildings blowing up. And it really was bad timing because this episode was meant to air around November, I think, 2001, maybe even late September. The episode, and all I know is the show aired between June and November 2001, I'm pretty sure. So just not good timing at all. And they had to re-edit several different parts of this episode. They had to completely change it. And what they did was they changed it from buildings blowing up to dams blowing up. And the Power Rangers theme was playing on over the top of the villain's terrorist message. So that wasn't so confronting and similar to events around the same time. But yeah, that episode got pulled as well. All of these, by the way, have been lost in the past and were lost for a significant amount of time before the internet came along, and they're all just easily accessible online. That's why I wanted to talk about these on the Lost Media podcast. I should just reiterate that because they were once technically lost and not allowed to be aired on television anymore and pulled from TV. The next one is what was going to be the standalone topic for this video, because I don't like doing list videos. There's not many on the channel. I think this is the second or third list video technically. This is the second one with it actually being a list video in the title, a suggested list video in the title. Yeah, this was going to be the standalone topic, 101 Dalmatians, Alive and Chicken. But as everyone knows, the reason why I've done several of these is because they're all a similar thing. They're all banned because of 9/11, and because this topic doesn't really have enough for a standalone video. What basically happens is there's an episode of 101 Dalmatians that was pulled after 9/11, and this chicken character in the show really wants to fly and can't fly. So the Dalmatians build him a plane, a makeshift plane, and the chicken is, you know, bit cowardly, trying to get over the fear of flying, and so he goes on flight in this makeshift plane, this light plane, and crashes into a windmill. Now the sequence of this chicken crashing into the windmill is, I'm laughing because I can't believe how close they got it. I'm sorry if I sound disrespectful in this, guys. I guess I laugh when there's a serious topic. Not a good sign. You can't really call this serious though. They've accidentally animated something that is so eerily similar to the second plane hitting the South Tower. And so the video shows this is all animated before 9/11, guys. Definitely not animated after. It was meant to air around this same time. The chicken flies into the windmill and goes to the ground and survives. It's fine. It thinks it's dead. But the whole sequence is just like, damn. And not only did they ban this episode after 9/11, but they banned the unrelated second segment of this, which was a completely different story arc. It's like, that's freaking lazy. Just swap that around to another episode. Like, what? I think they just couldn't be bothered switching that into another episode and then switching whatever other segment out. Or you just make one episode that is three segments. And that is extended to all the other episodes. But that's a continuity error, I guess, for a TV show, that one episode is longer than all the others and you just can't have it done, so they just cancel the whole thing. So really, really strange. Only the first segment of this 101 Dalmatians episode has that sequence, but just that is enough to delete everything. But just that is enough to delete everything is an understatement in the 101 Dalmatians case. When it comes to this last case, you might notice, guys, these are all taken from a video previously made by Blame It On George that I'm using in the background. Big thanks to Blame It On George for having all these topics ready to go. But I've taken the ones that I think are the most similar to 9/11 itself. I feel like that video mentioned a lot of topics that were just terrorist related in general, from kids animated shows. It is a much better video than this, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great facts in that are more lengthy and talks about it in a more detailed way than a simple podcast I'm doing here. But that video didn't hone in on the most important one at the end. It kind of put it in a weird part of the video, and that is the Invader Zim New York destruction sequence. Now this show had a second series made. It had one series aired. It didn't rate well. And just like all the other entries on this list, when it's got something to do with 9/11, it's screwed, essentially. The show is fucked. It's completely screwed. And this show did not escape that. Although it gained a cult following in later years because it was a kind of late, I guess, teen, early 2000s show. And the second series was made but never uploaded, and then was made but never aired around the same time the first series was aired, but was later aired in 2006 instead of late 2001 or 2002 when it was meant to air. Now, what happens in this episode is, well, the thing about this episode that I should mention, it was meant to air on September 12th to September 14th, 2001. It might have been September 14th, 2001, but it was somewhere between those dates. This is a crazy coincidence, in my opinion. What happens in the plot of the episode is Invader Zim goes around to different houses and is trying to sell cookies, and he's trying to win a prize for selling the most cookies. He really is obsessed with this, and people won't buy his cookies, so he's like, oh, screw this. And the more people, when people reject, he decides, no, you're not going to reject my cookies. I'm going to scare the crap out of you by forcing you to watch this simulation. So he throws this simulation device on their heads, and the simulation is the world ending. He's just trying to scare people with the simulation of the world ending to get them to just buy his cookies. And for a plot of an episode to start off with buying the cookies to lead to a 9/11 cancelled episode is bizarre. How did it happen? Well, the simulation showed, of all cities, New York being destroyed and the Statue of Liberty in a pile of lava, in a massive moat of lava, and the whole city being in ruins. Now, first of all, there's a lot of coincidences happening here. There's a lot of crazy things. This was obviously animated before 9/11, way before 9/11, and is scheduled to air just a few days or the next day after 9/11. The Statue of Liberty, it's obviously not the Twin Towers. It's in a moat of lava and that is floating around in all the lava. That would make this by far the most interesting. This still is, in my opinion, the most interesting. That would make this the most crazy coincidence to 9/11 of any media ever released, if they just made that one change between the Statue of Liberty in the lava and the World Trade Center towers in the lava. It kind of reminds me of the film Deep Impact. It was made in 1998, where the only two things left above water in the after the meteors hit Earth and the world floods, the city of New York floods, the only two things left floating up and down are the Twin Towers. Similar, I think I just spat across the room. Similar to this, it's a kind of similar to this, but not really. But the Statue of Liberty's in there. What fascinates me the most about this is the animators may have decided, which landmark do we use in the moat? Do we use the Empire State Building in the lava floating around? Do we use the World Trade Centers north and south just floating around the lava? Or do we use the Statue of Liberty? Which one? We'll use the Statue of Liberty. If they decided to use both Twin Towers floating around in the lava, holy shit, how did you guys know? But no, they went with the Statue of Liberty. But even that was enough, obviously, airing not that long after 9/11, not that long being literally, like, that shit was yesterday, that shit was just the other day. And this episode was banned from airing around that time and was postponed. Funnily enough, though, in early 2002, the episode still gets aired, despite a version being made where they completely changed the sequence of the virtual reality and the simulation of things going bad for the people that wouldn't buy his cookies. So almost pointless that they rejigged it because it got aired anyway by accident. Guys, it got aired by accident. Ridiculous. But that's the most interesting case of something that was banned and cancelled from 9/11. If you guys have something really cool that was banned and cancelled from 9/11 that I didn't talk about today that you think is worthy of being in this list or worthy of being mentioned, put it in the comments. I want to know. I want to know what you guys think. Because I don't know, this topic really fascinates me. I really wanted to do a video talking about World Trade Center lost media that had nothing to do with 9/11. It was just about the World Trade Center buildings that used to be there. And I wanted to do a video on this channel where I discussed potential media that was sitting in the World Trade Center or that was playing for people in the World Trade Center that hasn't been found since the 9/11 attacks and was lost there. But trying to find stuff for something so eerily specific, so specific, so oddly specific is not easy. So that video never came to be. I would love to make it one day, but someone's already made a great video, Lost World Trade Center artwork, which I suggest. I might put that in the description, but if I forget to, definitely look that one up. Lost World Trade Center artwork is a really, really good video. But yeah, that's all there is to it, really. Really fascinating topic for me. Something I really wanted to talk about on the Lost Media podcast. But unfortunately, the list of videos are extremely rare on this podcast because they take a lot of energy to make and a lot of prep. There you go. They take a lot of preparation and are really not easy to present. So I hope you guys bared with me today on the Lost Media podcast. I'll be back very soon. And yeah, there's a lot happening. Before I go, I'm going to say the same announcement I'm saying in all the episodes upcoming. There will be some videos. There'll be 3 videos uploaded to this channel that have nothing to do with Lost Media, that have a disclaimer at the beginning. I'm mentioning them at the end of every single podcast. So when you guys see it pop up in your recommended or see it pop up on the channel and you're like, this isn't Lost Media, what's going on? Is he changing the channel? Is the content changing? No. These are 3 one-off special event videos, just those, and they're never airing again. Nothing like that content's ever airing again. I just wanted to put it on a channel and wanted to do it once and never again, this type of content. What it is basically is it's the golden age of YouTube, the CC. I'm dropping little hints every episode. The golden age CC, you type that up on Google or YouTube and see what comes up, and that's probably very similar to what I'm filming in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, thanks guys. It'll be uploaded in like 3 to 4 weeks from when I'm recording this, but it will be uploaded. God, my hair is driving me fucking crazy today. Can I just say, guys, on this podcast, it just continues to fuck around big time. It is a nightmare trying to, that problem will be rectified very soon. Oh, what? No. That was such a shit, like, attempted a teaser. I was so bad. I don't. Podcast done. End of this episode. That was episode 68 of the Lost Media podcast. Thanks, guys. The end. Goodbye. This has to end. Fuck this hair. What is this shit? What is this shit?